Hello. Today I want to talk to you guys a little bit about how to use this HyperDoc, this Personal Flex HyperDoc that we've been trying out during Personal Flex time. So I had a couple kids ask me what they're actually supposed to be doing with this. So that's what I wanted to kind of show you for a few minutes here. So, there are directions here at the top that say click on the links for each category, learn, take notes about your learning, and or any questions you may have, right? And then there's this section of academic vocabulary. These terms, these words, are important for you to know the meaning of. So it would be good for you to read through this and learn these, whether that means you make flashcards so that you can study them, or whether it just means that you read them every day until you really feel good about them and you know them. It could mean lots of different things, but you need to know this vocabulary. The other thing, the next part of the HyperDoc, and yours might look slightly different than mine, by the way, but the next part of it is this essential standards / resources section, and it says here explain essential standards 7.4.1.1, and so the standard is written underneath. Cite several pieces of textual evidence to support analysis of what the text says explicitly, as well as inferences drawn from the text. All right, your job over here is to reword this standard, to put it into your own words. So if I was a student and I was doing this, I would think about the words. Like, what does the word cite mean? Well, it means to give credit, right? What are pieces of textual evidence? Give credit using parts of the story, and then to support analysis, you can say to support or to give credit using parts of the story to back up what you think. And then it says of what the text says explicitly, as well as inferences drawn from the text. Give credit using parts of the story to back up what you think using exact words from the text, as well as by making inferences. That would be fine. So that's all you do in this box. You just reword the standard. You put it into your own words. Say it in a way that makes the most sense to you. And this just forces you to kind of go through. Okay? If you have trouble with this, if you can't do this like I just did it, then that's what these things down here are for. So you should click on this icon that will bring you to a slideshow, and you can open up that slideshow and go through it, and then you'll know, sorry, I'm just going to move that down for a second, and then you'll know a little bit more about the standard. So this slideshow that I just clicked on teaches you about the standard. And I even went through, you've seen these slides a bazillion times, but these down here, starting at slide number 5, I go through and give examples of definitions for each of the terms in the standard, right? Several pieces of textual evidence to support analysis means that you're using multiple quotes. You are backing up your claim statement or what you think using multiple quotes. And so I went through and you can just go through and you can read this. You can look at the examples and you can learn about this essential standard, right? So then when you're done viewing that slideshow, you can then also go into the YouTube link. This, I think both of these for you guys is actually in Google Classroom underneath Unit 1. These were the things that I added later, so yours doesn't look exactly like this. But you can go in and you can watch the video where I am doing a different screencast and I am sharing. So you probably have. Oh, that's weird, huh? My slideshow that walks you through. Sorry. So you can go through and you can watch this other screencast of me doing the standard. And all of that should help you understand what this standard means better. Your job is to be able to explain to me what this means, what you're supposed to be able to do. Okay? Any questions that you have about the standard, you could type in here. And then those are things that you should ask me about when you have time, or when I have time, right? Set up a conference with me, or ask in a quiet moment, and that sort of thing. So a question might be something like, how many pieces of evidence is several, right? Because it says give several pieces of textual evidence. So maybe that's a question you have. Or maybe it's, I don't understand what is the difference between explicit and inferences, right? And so you write out your questions, and you have those ready to go so that when we have the opportunity to talk, you know exactly what to ask, okay? And then after you've kind of worked through this front side of the HyperDoc, you'd move on to the next page. And so the next page breaks things down by learning targets. And I think this looks a little bit different than yours again, but each of these focuses on a new learning target. And your job is to be able to meet these learning targets, to master them. So you need to be able to say, I can identify an explicit character trait and infer a character trait. And if you need help on what that means and how that looks, that's what these resources are here for. There's all kinds of videos and resources.
Video here on loveyourpencil.com. This one has to do with inference.
Okay, so you go in and you look at the resources, you learn, and then there's questions over here for you to think about that are directly related to this learning target. So what is the difference between explicit and inference? How does the STAR strategy work? And then it says here, make a copy of this worksheet to practice. And if you click on this worksheet, it will take you to another doc, and you can make a copy of it and practice this, all right? And then when you're comfortable with this, you're comfortable with this learning target, then you move on to the next one. I can identify a textual evidence to support a trait, inference, or conclusion. And I have some examples that are also on Google Classroom for you with this one too. There's a couple questions to answer. So you go through this and you look at the information, you learn about the learning target, you take notes, and then you move on to the next one. And you just keep plugging your way through, all right? This might take you 2 days, it might take you a week. It shouldn't take you more than a week, but that's what I'm hoping you guys will do. And then this next section of the HyperDoc is this seminar tracker and the learning check, okay? And the seminar tracker is where you keep track of any of the seminars that you attend. So if you came to my seminar today, it was about author developing character perspective. And the date was 9/28. Tomorrow's my dad's birthday. Oh, I can make this a little bigger. Can't even read it. Okay. And then any notes that you want to take, that would be like the big aha moment that you had during the seminar. If there was something that I said that you felt really hit home with you, like it helped you understand something, that's the kind of thing you should write down. So it might be something like, when a character views something differently, that doesn't mean, his or her perspective is right or wrong. We need to think for ourselves, right? Just some little tidbit of information that you feel like was helpful to you or helped you understand the learning target better. That's what you write in there, all right? You can make these boxes different sizes if you'd like. And then if you attend another seminar, you do the same thing. You just keep filling out notes and keeping track of your learning, because otherwise we forget, okay? Down here, the learning check. The learning check is a spot where you should be putting in results from any formatives that we do. Well, we did the one formative with Fetch, right? I don't know why all the text is so small. The formative with Fetch was a pretty important one, and there were 4 different learning targets that we worked on with that, right? So you can go in and type in the learning targets. I can identify a character trait. And where do you find the learning targets? You guys, they're right here. I can identify, you can just copy and paste these learning targets into your learning tracker, your learning check. And you can go back to the grade book then and look at your scores for those learning targets and record them. Did you get a 3 or a 1? Right? And then you can make notes. What did I learn? I got a 1 on this specific learning target, and the reason I had a 1 is because I forgot to use star or whatever, right? You should have a reason. You've learned from your error, right? And then this is just a reflection spot for you to write down some things that you are learning about yourself during this time of personalized learning. When is it best for you to be independent? How well are you following through with the things that confuse you? Are you taking responsibility and getting help when you need it, and that sort of thing? The last page is all about the end of the unit. So no one should really have done anything in here yet necessarily, but there's this summative section, and it says you will have 2 choices for your final unit project, and there's 2 different links here. This one's going to take you to the explanation of the character analysis, a character analysis essay. And so there's directions here about what you'll need to know and do if you choose to do that project. And then, of course, the other link is going to take you to directions on the body biography, right? So you're going to have all those directions there. So you can go through this and start thinking about it now, but I haven't given you guys any instruction other than that. All right, there's a spot here for you to record any questions you have about these summative assessments. Down here is another reflection spot, a place for you to think about the essential questions we've been talking about, and the directions say to pick 1 or 2 to respond to. And then last but not least is one final reflection spot. What has this unit helped you realize about yourself, your learning, or others? And that's where all of it should really come together. I have learned that I should look at characters like they are real people, because a good character behaves in a way that real people behave in too. And I can learn about people when I learn about characters. And so that might be something you've learned, a big picture thing that you've learned throughout this unit. So that's what I'm looking for you to write right there. That's all for now. I hope this was helpful. I'll see you next time.